Hey guys, I'm Virginia. This is the hair that lives on top, and today we have a very special guest.
That's right. And I'm Jamie Dorn. I'm the Executive Director of Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship at Georgian College. Excited to talk to our special guest, Chad Ballantyne. We've got the creative space, which is a co-working space, and we're excited to learn about that. So let's get into it.
I'm so excited. Let's do this. All right,
Okay.
So Chad, you have an amazing creative space that is called the Creative Space. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. So the creative space came out of necessity back in 2008 when Rhubarb Media had been 2 years in living in my mother-in-law's basement. We moved downtown, found some space, ended up with too much space, and I started to invite some fellow coworkers to join me in the space because I was like, I can't afford this, and let's just see what this thing does. And I thought I had actually come up with something really cool, and I was like, wow, this is cool, like collaborative space for entrepreneurs and startups. And then I went online and it's like, oh yeah, that's called co-working, you dummy. But that said, in Canada, when we launched, we were one of 5 in Canada,
Wow.
like actual co-working spaces. And that's co-working without a dash, by the way. And so there's the genuine co-working movement had been just actually recently started, and Canada was catching up. So CSI was probably the biggest one people know of down in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned about this, I just went like, okay, I got to glean everything, steal everything, and just went crazy. And the creative space was born officially just early in the next year. So been going since 2008, late 2008. And so we were downtown and down at 89 Dunlop Street, so just in behind Casa Cappuccino,
Mm-hmm.
where Swirlies is actually. So we were before pre-Swirlies, and in there, 1,100 square feet. Ended up having like 10 or 12 members. We got too big. We moved upstairs to 2,400 square feet. That filled up. We ended up with 20 plus 25 members. And then we started looking for a building. And we moved into 12 Dunlop, where we were there for about 7+ years. And that was this huge building, 6,200 square feet, 2 floors, loft, basement.
That's big.
And we ended up with closed office space so we can house people as they grew their companies. And because the space was so huge and I just love utilizing old spaces, we ended up running events. So we were running Ignite Berries and craft and art shows and art crawls, and we had concerts and improv nights. And down in the basement, we launched Simcoe County's first actual first maker space was COLAB, and it was in our basement, and we had people in there every week, making stuff, breaking stuff, putting it back together, and did some art camps and some kind of tech art camps with McLaren. Worked with One More Story Games to do a whole summer camp for kids building it was just like the hub of insane creativity. And the creative space, actually the word was really came out of the initial plan. The initial vision was an art space. I was hoping to open up an arts collective way back in the day when I first moved back to Barrie. And when I started talking to people, it's like, nobody can afford it. So the creative space turned into a startup entrepreneurship hub. But the idea of just space for people to be creative, and that's where it came out of. And here we are today. And I'm in Canopy Coworking today. So I'm in our new space, which we could talk about as well.
Cool. Yes, I'm really excited to talk about the new space as well. I actually have some of my friends have gone to become members at your new place.
Nice. Cool.
Yes, I was very excited. I gave them a few options, but I suggested yours.
Nice. Thanks.
So what is the most important part about a co-working space? Like what is the draw to a co-working space?
I would say the number one word is community. So if you think of other office space for rents, they provide a service, they provide resources and tools, and there can be some community built in them, but our number one front filter, everything we do comes through the idea of we want to build community. We want people to, and I use these 4 B languages. So people want to be loved, they want to be safe, they want to be unique, and they want to belong. And we filter everything we do through those B's because a lot of times what you do seems to be more important. Like people are like, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, why don't you ask me who I am? And
That's
so
cool.
so what is community? Community is helping to fulfill those major needs in people. And co-working strives to fulfill those. So we want you to feel loved. We want you to feel safe. We want you to feel unique. You can do what you like and be celebrated. And we want you to belong. So you're part of the club. So there's an affinity. So all that falls into the word community. When we say community, that's what we mean.
Okay, so Chad, this is really cool, building community, but can you give us a couple of examples of how you've done that with the people that have been in your co-working space?
For sure. So a lot of, if you're an entrepreneur, and I think both of you guys are, right? Startups, entrepreneurs, you often feel like you're crazy. And people will tell you you're crazy, you feel crazy, and a lot of times you feel alone. So what I say is when you join a creative space, a co-working space, you are not alone. And so we instantly fill that gap of like, you are not alone. You're still crazy, by the way. and the crazy part is that it kind of dives into that uniqueness. So when you join a co-working space, when you come to the creative space or Canopy, we're really excited about to find out what makes you come alive. So it's part of what you do. It's part of your job and your work and your startup, but there's other things around that. And so we want people to feel like what they do and who they are is kind of like the thing that we're feeding into, we're pouring into, we're trying to make it better. So people always ask me like, what do you love doing, Chad? Like, what's your thing? Like, what's your goal in life? If you could do one thing. And it comes down to the phrase, doing what makes you come alive. I love helping others do what makes them come alive. So what makes me come alive? Helping others do that. So that's me. And that's a lot of co-working managers. They have that same genome. It's like, we want to see you do what makes you come alive. And it's not so focused just on your work. This is the other part of what we do to add community. I care about your business. I want to make sure that you're successful, but I also care about your family life. I also care about your health. I want to make sure that you're okay, because a successful business cannot be built on an unhealthy body, on an unhealthy mind. So your mental health is important. So often, and you can ask Creative Space members, I usually have a stand-up desk, so I'm standing and I'm in the middle of the space, and people will just come up and they're like, hey, Chad, how's it going? And I can just instantly know that there's some crap going on, right? So like we'll pull aside and I'll take the time to be like, what's going on? Like what's going on? It could be kids, it could be relationships, it could be work, but I want to make sure that you are holistically healthy so that your business can thrive. So that happens from me as a co-working manager, and also from others in this space. They pick up that vibe of like, we're for each other. And so we just don't care about the bottom line. So people feel loved. They feel like they can come here and they feel loved. They feel like they can express themselves and be unique. They definitely know they're safe. We have each other's back. And right off the bat, they're part of this amazing club called co-working, right? So there's those things make me feel excited. I'm really excited to see businesses launch and grow and thrive, but I also like to see it happen within themselves. And that just makes a more healthy community. So the outer community of Barrie and downtown, it's almost like the essence and energy that comes out of the creative space or co-working spaces just oozes out into the community because it affects everyone else. If I feel healthy, if I walk out of the creative space going, man, I just had this great conversation with Chad. He just made me feel great. I'm pumped. And you walk into Tim Hortons, you're going to give that to the lady of the Tim Hortons, right? And it's just going to carry on. So that's
energy.
So that's what it is. That's what it is when I think of doing community is about those things.
That's wonderful, Chad. I would be super grateful to be able to be working up there because I love this space. I've seen so many photos. I haven't toured it yet, but I'm going to come up.
The Canopy co-working space is out in Springwater area outside of Midhurst, surrounded by forests. We built it with lots of wood and eclectic, kind of cottagey things. We have a canoe. We have a canoe upstairs, this big, huge oak canoe or cedar canoe, and we also surrounded by artists. So that's the other thing that makes us unique. We're we're art lovers. So the whole
Very
space is covered in art, original art from local Barrie artists. Both spaces,
I
we've
love
done
that.
that. We've done that from day one.
cool.
But coming out here, you just exhale. You're just like, you know. And
I think that's especially important with where we're sort of at right now, is being
yeah,
able to have that moment to take a breath, because
totally.
I know that that's not happening for a lot of entrepreneurs. They're having a hard time finding that moment to take a breath.
I agree. And we've been talking about this a lot because the lockdown, like we were like, hey, can we stay open? Should we stay open? Are we essential? There's no category for us. So we
Yeah.
actually did find a ruling from the provincial government that we're in this other category because we provide services for potential essential services, and we provide opportunity for those that cannot work at home to still
Hmm.
work. And we can
Yeah.
do that, and we can do that safely. But at the same time, we're open to members only at this time. So we're not
Yes,
taking
of
new
course.
members and that kind of stuff. But that
Right.
said, we've all the things that I've talked about pre-pandemic are all important. You know, community, holistic care,
Hmm.
all these things. Now you add COVID onto it. It's actually heightened the the awesomeness of co-working because
Absolutely.
we can't work from home. I mean, working from home sucks. Working alone sucks. It's one of our slogans. Um, but if you, even if you're like, whether you're downtown or if you come out to Canopy, everyone who comes out here and work here says, I just got the most work done in the shortest amount of time, and I feel good, and I can't wait to go home, and I can't wait to come back.
Hmm.
So the
So,
mental health is huge.
so
That
on
sounds.
the thought of how many people have been able to come up there, how many people do you think you have helped over the years through
Oh,
your co-working spaces?
I could only say hundreds, maybe thousands.
Oh,
I mean, it's all the companies and then all the other things that we've done with events
Right.
and like we've had, you know, the what is it, the junior achievement has been our space for
yes,
about 2 years.
Hmm.
So we've been mentoring, you know,
yes.
young entrepreneurs. All the events that we've had, Ignite Barrie, you know, we did 10 years of ignites, and we packed the space, you know, 80, 90
Cool.
people.
Yeah.
Events like Pitch Planet and other things. So
Hmm.
over the years, yeah, it's got to be thousands.
Wow. So Chad, just before we got started filming here, you and I were just chatting about music and implying around art and stuff when we were in this
Mhm.
chat. So, you know, that seems to be important in your life. So how do you feel like that helps you run a better co-working space?
I think it's part of tapping into what makes you come alive. So for me, art, music, just that energy is is kind of a little bit of a lifeline for me. So I love
Mm.
music. I love art. I love expressions of art. We're theater bums for our family.
Hmm.
All our kids grew up through the triple threat programs, moving art, KCP, Theater by the Bay, Talk is Free,
Hmm.
and Rhubarb Media, my company, plug, is
Logo.
link below.
Link
Um,
below.
we sponsor all the arts, you know, businesses in Barrie, and so we're really passionate about it. It's just something art is the only thing in life that makes you stop and ponder and wonder and think. If you think about it, everywhere we go, we're just like rush, 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 no time for this. But if you connect with art in the way you should, it actually, you have to stop and think. So you go to the movies and you sit there and watch and listen and experience.
Hmm.
You go to an
Hmm.
art gallery and you watch. And it's those pauses in life that create space for things that, to, like for, you know, your mind to kind of
It
relax
creates
and hear
growth.
things.
It really
Yeah.
it adds like the fertilizer to the soil so that you can really grow yourself, because that's
Hmm.
Yeah.
something that for myself as well when it comes to art and music, like even you can tell just by the
Yeah.
colors that are drawn on
Creative.
my wall there. I need that little bit of creativity. I may
Yeah.
be surrounded by technology, but like everything's rainbow something, and there's art, design, painting all
It's true.
over.
We need it.
I have
It's
a
a
quilt section.
the word is transcendence, like in whether you're religious or not, but there's this, we have to tap into the spiritual side of who we are, and art, I think, does that in an incredible way. It does cause us to stop and think about other things and other things,
Hmm.
and there's this this hope element, and when you go to a movie, you come out going, I just want to be William Wallace. this and I want to, like, there's this empowerment that happens.
Inspirational.
It helps you
component.
think outside yourself. So that's where that transcendent, and you create those little moments, those gaps in your life. And that's where you get those thoughts, those new ideas, those
Yes.
energies. And then it comes into your natural life. So the creative space is a blend of art, people, culture, business, and it's all those things that enhance who you are and what you do,
Mhm.
right? So art is like, I just tell people, I said, if you want to feel healthy, get healthy, go see art, listen to it, do it. You will thank me for it later. It's something that people need to tap into. And not everyone's artistic or would say, oh, I don't like art. I'm a sports guy. Well, hockey is just dancing with a puck. I mean, dancing not eloquently at times, but anyways, entertainment is art, right? So I think sports is theater on ice or on the field. So anyways, that's where I think art's essential. And that's why all our spaces are wrapped in arts. And we do arts events when we
That's
could.
great.
Yeah.
So we use these 3 words on the show: educate, inspire, and activate. And those are our driving words for what we want to do on this show. And oftentimes we're speaking directly to those either students or innovators out there who are stuck, right? They want to do something, but they just haven't been able to make the move. So do you have any advice for those people?
Yeah, I use this word acronym kind of thing called BPM. So I always ask people, what's your burden? And they're like, well, what's a burden mean? Well, what do you like about the world? What do you hate about the world? That's a burden. And you have energy about that. You have emotions about that. You have thoughts about that. And then, so that's the B. The P is passion. That's kind of a combination of knowledge and actual skills. So are you passionate about this burden, and do you have skills that you can do that can make a difference about it? And the M is just mission. That becomes your mission. You're like, hey, if I can combine my burden with my passions and create a mission, that's my career. And it could be like mini careers, because we used to do this with kids, like junior high kids, and they're like, I don't know what my mission is. I just want to play with my friends and and do Candy Crush and and they're stressed out. They're like, why do I need to pick a mission? I'm 13. But I'm like, do mini missions every week. What are you happy about this week? What are you sad about? Are you passionate about it? Do you have some skills that you can apply to it? Make that your mission. And so I do this with entrepreneurs all the time. I'm like, and it really takes away from what's your education or whatever. It's really about who you are. And the passion and skills element is very important when you're talking about entrepreneurs. Because you're like, I'm really passionate about playing video games all the time.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, but is that really going to accomplish anything? Is it going to change the world?
Yes.
Or they're like, I'm really passionate about art, and they're just not good at it. Right. So there has to be some balance of
skill building.
Just because your mom puts your painting on the fridge doesn't mean you're an artist or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of mentoring and teaching around the BPM.
Today on the hard truth with Dad.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but you are not an artist.
That is missing in our world. I call it trusted critique. It's missing.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
We need that. You need to be held accountable. And need to be told you're wrong once in a while.
Yes. Right? Yeah. That's one thing I can't stand is when people placate to you and just say, oh, that's wonderful. It's so good. And when you're just dying for a real critique.
Yeah.
You're like, please tell me how I can improve.
For me.
Yeah.
I always, there's that thing, you probably heard it too, is you surround yourself with people who are better at something than you are.
Yeah.
Right. So that you're forced to improve.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I do not like being the smartest person in the room.
Happens too often though. Right, Pete?
I collect people. That's something that I do. I collect people, and I collect amazing people who inspire me. And if someone can inspire me beyond how I inspire other people, that person is a super important human just to exist in the world in general.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they're getting my support and vice versa. So that's something that I do is supporting humans is very important. And I love that that is done at the.
I feel like you're You're so there's a word I used to describe myself. It's called Tumler, Tummler, and it's a Yiddish word,
Okay.
and it means to incite people to action, to
Right.
encourage people to get involved, and to get stuff done.
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
cool.
tried so hard to like, what's my role in life and what do I do at the creative space? I don't want to be a creative space manager, a co-working manager. And a buddy of mine found this word, Tumler, and that's what I use. I'm a Tumler. So, and you are too. I think both you guys are. It's like, yeah.
So you've seen so many companies and just innovators. We call them kind of like the innovators and entrepreneurs of our region.
Mm-hmm.
And they could just be big thinkers, but they may also be starting a company. So you've seen a lot of those over the last 12 years or so through your spaces.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen kind of their focus, or how have you seen their focus change? Like what kinds of companies or ideas are relevant now that are evolving?
I mean, we're pretty eclectic in our membership. Like we have a lot of digital nomads. So digital nomads are, I mean, anyone who can work from anywhere and a computer's your tool.
Mhm.
That's like,
I love it.
yeah. So we're digital nomads, but then we do have a lot of media, internet, code programmers, people that like hardcore
Mhm.
on their computer, crunching code or creating apps and whatnot. Media marketing, graphic designers, we're big.
Mhm.
Publishers, writers. We've had people from Toronto, like corporate Toronto, people who live in Barrie, but they commute. They just said, I'm not commuting anymore. Like I don't see my kids in the morning and I don't see them when I
Mhm.
come home.
Mhm.
So their company paid a membership at the creative space. So we love that. Like stop commuting, people. Like
Mhm.
if you live in Barrie and you drive to Toronto to sit in a box and then
Yeah,
drive
you're
home,
nuts. Mhm.
like 2 hours of insanity on the road, you're killing the planet and you
Mhm.
don't see your kids and your family. So we feel like we're like this amazing opportunity to like fix a lot of things. Like
Cool.
it's environmental,
Well, you're
it's
probably going to get
social.
even busier because the pandemic has
Yeah.
been really driving
Work from
this stay at home
Yeah.
So yeah,
anti-migration.
corporate companies are, yeah,
Anti-migration movement happening right now.
Yeah.
Right here in front of us.
Stay home.
stay in Barrie, but go to co-working spaces.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. And Barrie's beautiful, and we have so many awesome
Mm-hmm.
opportunities here in Barrie,
Yeah.
including co-working spaces, and we have quite a few of those. So it's really exciting to be able to tell people that like you don't have to drive that far.
No,
If you can work it out with your company, use a
Mhm.
co-working space.
no, I agree. I think it's the new movement. I mean, corporations are shutting down their entire real estate offices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're saying, hey, this COVID thing, you've proved that you can work from home, keep working, but they can't. Their efficiencies is not there, the productivity,
Mhm.
their emotional state, their mental health, you're bouncing up against walls and kids and family
Yeah.
and washing dishes and doing laundry. Like it's just not ideal. Like I don't mind working from home, but I love coming out to the creative space or Canopy. Just,
Mhm.
I mean, we used to have a lot more people during during the days and whatnot back in the day, but I just get stuff done. The day flies. It's like 5 o'clock and I got all my stuff done. If I was at home,
Mhm.
I'd be like, oh, I guess I got to push that to tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys all
exactly.
know.
So
You guys know this.
Yeah,
we
we've been living this for a year now.
we're both working at home right now, so it's
Yeah.
we've had to I've made a whole change to my parents' front room. It used to be a front room.
No,
At some
it's
point when we were younger, when we only had one computer in the house, it was known as the computer room, and now it
wow,
is the studio.
Mhm.
nice. It's
The
great.
studio, yeah.
Studio. It has been upgraded to the studio. We have
Sweet.
carpet on the walls. It's officially a studio.
That's great.
So, Chad, I got a question for you about the near future of work.
Mhm.
And like you said, the co-working space is probably one of those things that's going to rise up even more so after the pandemic's over. But what things that are happening now with remote working do you think are going to persist even when we're allowed to go back
I think,
to the normal way it was?
yeah, I think COVID is proving that we can work remote, and
Hmm.
it's okay. It's still highlighting the need for community and collaboration and
Hmm.
connectedness and
Yeah.
well-being. So I think it's a kind of a double whammy for co-working in general. We're already seeing a spike, like even during the lockdowns. For those that can, there's just been more people hitting co-working sites and looking for spaces, even if they're looking for it when the lockdowns are over. There's just a lot of interest, and so we started Canopy back in it was about December of 2019,
Yeah.
so pre-COVID, and we got the plans. We started working on it. It was just a shell, and started to build, and then March hit and everything shut down, and we're like, oh, what did we just do? Like, we're building this thing for people and community and events,
And now what?
we're like, are we crazy? And we're like, yes. And then we actually, pre all these conversations that we're having now, we're like, we think this could be what's needed. So we pushed through and we launched September 11th. And we opened with a dispersed crowd because it was still kind of like you could have these gatherings.
Yep.
And a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. Sadly, we're in a heavier lockdown now, but we're like Brandon Days, my partner in crime here at Canopy. He works with community builders, and we're excited about what's going to happen coming through this and out of this, and hoping that co-working spaces can be really the recovery program for our economy. Like, I tell people right now, I said, like, if you want to come and shut us down, that's fine. But we are actually part of the recovery, like and the sustainability. So because the government's like, hey, stay home, but if you can work, keep working. Like, don't stop working, but stay home. And we're like, okay, sometimes those two things can't happen. So
they don't work together for some people.
If you want to be healthy, stay safe, and keep the economy going, co-working. Just like,
absolutely.
So like, I don't have a mask on now, but when we walk around, we mask on, we do all the cleanings, and we members only, and it's all, it's safe here. But we're also allowing people to get a lot of work done. And I think that's, if Rob Ford and friends would just kind of realize it, they would say, hey, find a co-working space, make sure it's safe, get to work, keep working.
Exactly. Make sure it's safe, get to work, and keep working.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's awesome. Yes.
Chad, thanks so much for chatting with us today. It has been very enjoyable to get to explore your brain a little bit and share some of your insights around co-working and how to succeed when you're working in one of those spaces.
Thank you so much. This was very enlightening for me, and I think it's going to be enlightening for a lot of people who watch it, who weren't sure about using a co-working space and are really interested in using, that big word that we were talking about today, which is community, and really focusing on, continuing to build and grow our amazing communities that we have. So thank you so much for being a place for that to happen.
Thanks for having me. I really, really enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
Yes.
Okay, we will.
I got other topics.
Six months from now, we'll have a revisit.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Chad.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
All right, I'll see you later, Chad.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That was great. It's great. It's great. Stopping the recording.